So again, welcome everybody to the Trauma Informed Care meeting. We would love for you to put your name and your contact information in the chat just so that everybody has it. These meetings tend to develop relationships over time, and I'm like, oh yeah, I saw this person on this meeting, and wait, I have their information, and I can reach out and ask those questions. So it's always a good way to interact with folks. So I have some topics that I want to talk about today, but I want to do a review just real quick. In February, we as this group talked about how we can move our community and organizations forward in becoming trauma informed, right, and trauma responsive, and also how to help build that resilience in our community, in our individuals, in our kiddos. And so Danielle Dye from United Way of Southwest Virginia shared with us a great infographic. It was the Seed to Tree infographic that United Way and Ballot had put together as a roadmap of sorts of kind of how to follow to move our organizations forward. So I hope you've been able to review that and to apply that in your organizations. And if you have, I would love to hear about how you did that. So please feel free to share it in the chat or reach out to me directly, because we can't measure change if we don't know what's being changed, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to measure that change, see that needle moving. Today, we're going to talk about some pretty heavy stuff for just a little bit. But in the end, what we really want to come up with is how we get more involved. So Melissa, do you want to share the slideshow? Perfect. And it's short and sweet, guys. I didn't do a lot. It's not going to let you share. Do I need to make you co-host? No? Ah, you're a genius. You had me scared there for just a second. So Bristol's Promise did the trauma tsunami in our workforce environment at First Friday at the Bristol Chamber. And what we thought we would do is kind of turn that to what we're hearing in our educational systems at this point in time. So we've hit the business community, and now we kind of want to share the education edition with it. So today's topics are going to include the trauma in our education system surrounding the pandemic. While resilience is important to build within our youth, we're going to cover mental health, self-medication, substance use disorders, the fentanyl problem, the increase in suicide rates in our youth and young adults, and what can we do, how do we respond, and how do we move forward?
It's being called the Great Resignation. Prompted by the pandemic, millions of Americans reevaluating their lives and moving on. In April and June, record numbers quit their jobs.
This pandemic has many people stressed out, anxious, and lonely. A new report shows nearly half of U.S. workers have been suffering from mental health issues since the COVID-19 pandemic struck. Sharon Epperson has more.
According to a January 30th Florida Times Union article entitled, "Our Business Community is Not Prepared for the Impending Trauma Tsunami," Dr. Dawn Emmerich suggests we're on a collision course between high levels of trauma and an ill-prepared workplace. Prior to the pandemic, just under 70% of adults in the U.S. reported experiencing some form of a traumatic event in their lifetime. In other words, if a business employs 100 people, up to 70 employees may be really struggling and may also be bringing trauma into the office. Today, she suspects this number is even higher given the uncertainty of the pandemic, mass shootings, natural disasters, race and social justice, and political divisiveness. We are all feeling the weight, especially our children.
I think we are seeing a tsunami in trauma at every level, from kids through adults. In 2019, for just children and young people, we had saw a rise in mental health needs that started in 2018, was continuing in 2019. In March then, or February, March of 2020, when the pandemic happened, we saw this sudden merge wave of mental health needs associated with the stress, the grief, the challenges of the pandemic. That wave has continued. And when you use the term tsunami, I think that fits well with that huge wave that we're seeing. And the wave is continuing. It has not diminished in this now 2 years, starting the third year of this pandemic. That wave is still have some momentum and growth, and we're feeling it, we're seeing it, and we're challenged by it.
I think the challenges, other than the substance abuse disorders, you see a lot that being able to cope or conflict resolution skills, that those are, you see a lot of that where the problems come in and they just don't have the skills to be able to handle those conflicts that come up in all of our lives every day that we have, and it makes it challenging for those because they don't have the skills to handle those conflicts appropriately. That it comes in waves, and a lot of times the inappropriate action that takes to those stressors or the things that happen in their life that creates that problems for that go much deeper than just the surface. You know what I mean? I think with COVID, that's kind of made it even worse because of the social skills that I think that were lost even in children in the times that they've not been able to interact with each other. I think over time we're going to see a realization of that as well, and I think we're going to see even more of those types of problems with the unable to handle those situations that need conflict resolution.
Well, I think you've got to have the workforce development before you can really be successful in economic development. And that workforce development has got to start early with our children. And that's been able to, educate them properly. It's been able to care for them properly. And, they will grow into better adults, and they'll become a better employee in the workforces or workplaces. The things that's really important is that we have to start. We can't continue talking about it, and that's our problem. As a society, we've talked about this for a long time, and we've got to take action, and more action. Some actions are being taken, but as a society, we have to get more serious about this, or we're going to just continue going around in circles. Employers are paying more. They're offering better benefits. You've got companies that are hiring. They say they can't get enough workers. So everything is ripe for it. So we've just got to do better with our young children and continue that process of educating them in the right curriculums, educating them in the right trades, and first and foremost, we've got to make sure that their brains are being established properly.
Science tells us that the experiences we have in the first years of our lives actually affect the physical architecture of the developing brain. This means that brains aren't just born, they're also built over time based on our experiences. Just as a house needs a sturdy foundation to support the walls and roof, a brain needs a good base to support all future development. Positive interactions between young children and their caregivers literally build the architecture of the developing brain. Building a sturdy foundation in the earliest years provides a good base for a lifetime of good mental function and better overall health. So just how is a solid brain foundation built and maintained in a developing child? One way is through what brain experts call serve and return interactions. Imagine a tennis match between a caregiver and a child, but instead of hitting a ball back and forth across the net, various forms of communication pass between the two. From eye contact to touch, from singing to simple games like peekaboo. These interactions, repeated throughout a young person's developing years, are the bricks that build a healthy foundation for all future development. But another kind of childhood experience shapes brain development too, and that's stress. Good kinds of stress, like meeting new people or studying for a test, are healthy for development because they prepare kids to cope with future challenges. Another kind of stress, called toxic stress, is bad for brain development. If a child is exposed to serious, ongoing hardships like abuse and neglect, and he has no other caregiver in his life to provide support, the basic structures of his developing brain may be damaged. Without a sturdy foundation to properly support future development, he's at risk for a lifetime of health problems, development issues, even addiction. It's possible to fix some of the damage of toxic stress later on, but it's easier, more effective, and less expensive to build solid brain architecture in the first place. One of the things that sturdy brain architecture supports is the development of basic emotional and social skills, an important group of skills which scientists call executive function and self-regulation can be thought of like air traffic control in the child's mental airspace. Think of a young child's brain as the control tower at a busy airport. All those planes landing and taking off and all of the support systems on the ground simultaneously demand the controller's attention to avoid a crash. It's the same with a young child learning to pay attention, plan ahead and remember, and follow lots of rules. Like all of us, kids have to react to things happening in the world around them, while also dealing with worries, temptations, and obligations on their minds. As these demands for attention pile up, air traffic control helps the child regulate the flow of information, prioritize tasks, and above all, find ways to manage stress and avoid mental collisions along the way. Having this ability is a necessity for positive and level mental health. Developing effective air traffic control, overcoming toxic stress, and building solid brain architecture are things kids can't do on their own. And since strong societies are made up of healthy, contributing individuals, it's up to us as a community to make sure all young people have the kinds of nurturing experiences they need for positive development. To build better futures, we need to build better brains.
In young people, the Gallup poll and UNICEF just put out a paper called The State of the World's Children in 2021. And in that paper, they said that 1 in 5 young adults, that's 15, 16 to 25-year-olds, 1 in 5 was reporting worldwide that they were feeling significant symptoms of depression to the point that they weren't interested in things like they used to be, or as having the energy to do the things they once did. Now, these are young people that are starting out in life, in college, in workforce, and they're already beginning, before they ever get into the marketplace, having symptoms of depression. And that wave of need is astronomically continuing to grow. And we've seen that in the need for services, in the suicide rates. In just 1 year, for example, we saw at the end of 2021, a survey that showed that girls ages 12 to 17 had increased the suicidal ideation reported to ERs by 50%. The ER visits for young people at a different age ranges between the beginning of the pandemic and the start of 2021 had increased from 24 to 38% with suicidal ideation and emergency mental health needs. So we're seeing this growth in these needs.
So some of you may have seen the little Building Brain video before, but I wanted to point out that that's where we are with our kids, right? So we as a community have to build better kids. So what we're seeing and what you just heard in that video, we're seeing the increase in mental health issues, right? As a business that helps frontline workers, that's one of the top things that I'm seeing in our workforce as well. So we know if our adults are stressed, they're probably going home, and kids are stressed. So more people are self-medicating to escape the trauma using alcohol and drugs. So let's refer to the 4 overdoses at Virginia High. Let's refer to the 1 overdose death at Tennessee High. when we're talking about that. This then leads to an increase in substance use disorder and addiction. It increased accidental overdose in our youth with fentanyl, which we're going to talk about, and an increase in suicide in our youth and our young adults ages 10 to 24. Our kids are dying. Our kids are dying. So, dead on arrival, this little video is very intense. But some of the things that I want you to listen for is 42% of pills tested for fentanyl contain at least 2 milligrams of the fentanyl, which is considered lethal. You don't know that you're taking it. 1 kilogram of fentanyl has the potential to kill 500,000 people. Overdose deaths involving opioids, 38.1% on the rise. Overdose deaths involving synthetic opioids, so these are the pills that you don't know have fentanyl in them, rose 55.6% and appear to be the primary driver of increase in total drug overdose. This video is going to be shown today at the Fentanyl Awareness Day that the Virginia school system is having.
What is inside this vial could kill you almost instantly. In fact, this much would kill you and I if we split it. It's odorless, tasteless, and it's currently being disguised as nearly any drug you can buy off the street. This is fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is 100 times stronger than morphine and about 50 times the strength of heroin. Fentanyl has sedative effects and will rapidly slow down a person's breathing. Just a milligram too much of fentanyl can result in hypoxia, a decrease of oxygen to the brain, and can quickly lead to death. Sounds more like a poison than a drug. If you were to ingest fentanyl and live, your body would begin having withdrawals within a few hours. Fentanyl is one of the most addictive substances known to man. It is also rather cheap to produce considering its potency, which is why it is being used in all types of illicit drugs. Pills, cocaine, methamphetamine, MDMA, even some instances of marijuana. Illegal drugs have been forever changed because of fentanyl. The most notable are the fake prescription pills. In 2021, the DEA alone seized over 20 million fake prescription pills made of fentanyl. These pills, designed to look exactly like prescription drugs such as oxycodone, Percocet, Xanax, Adderall, and more, contain nothing but fentanyl and a colored binder and are pressed to look just like the pills you would get from a pharmacy. The difference, though, is a matter of life or death. The DEA has reported over 42% of pills tested for fentanyl contain a potentially lethal dose. So maybe it's not the first pill someone takes, but one shortly after. Over the past few years, there has been enough fentanyl seized to kill every person in the United States. Fentanyl is being found everywhere in almost every drug, but you won't know it's there until it's too late. Your decision to not try a drug is one of the most important decisions that you can make. Over time, pop culture seems to glorify drugs more and more. Drugs have been promoted as solutions to mental health struggles like depression and anxiety. Trying drugs has been normalized as something that is just part of going through life. In reality, it is something that will take your life from you. With fentanyl's increasing prevalence in nearly all drugs today, promoting drug use is one of the most dangerous messages an influential person can communicate, especially to young people. The glamorous lifestyle associated with drug use is a facade. Many famous people suffer brutal addictions behind the scenes, and fentanyl is exposing that truth. More and more great artists, athletes, and talents are falling to fentanyl. With them are many others who fell for the lie that using illicit drugs can solve any pain or problem in your life. It is a lie you must be smart enough to see through. Fentanyl is a death trap that very few escape once they enter into it. Do not be deceived. Fentanyl has turned drug dealers into death dealers, and today's easy access to drugs means that a dealer could be anybody. Most illicit drug sales today happen online and over social media. Many of the drug death stories I've encountered are of teens and young adults who bought a pill or a bit of cocaine and had it delivered to their family's house. A lot of times it was from somebody that they knew. Let's make this clear. It does not matter how well you think you know someone. It does not matter if they tell you the drug that they have is really what they say it is. You both do not know if fentanyl is in that drug until it is too late. Just because you've seen a friend try a drug, or even if you've tried something before, does not mean it's going to be safe. These drugs are not coming from a pharmacy or a lab with quality control. These drugs are being blended together by random people who do not care about you and bagged up for a quick profit. What seems like a safe dose could contain enough fentanyl to kill multiple people simply because of how carelessly these drugs are made. Again, you won't know until it's too late. Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death for young people in the United States. Some are looking for relief, some for a good time, many are just curious and make a stupid mistake. Had they known fentanyl was in the drugs they took, they never would have done it. But they can't take that choice back now. You, though, have a choice to make for your life. You may struggle sometimes and feel like you need help. You may get curious or tempted to try a drug. Remember that feelings are temporary, but some decisions can last forever. You always have the opportunity to choose something greater, something that will give you life and not death. I encourage you today to realize how precious your life is, and that one choice is all it takes to throw it away. Please do not do it. Remember that you have a purpose. You have gifts and passions that are unique to you. You were made to have a future. You can live an amazing life without ever touching a drug. Just keep going after the things you know are right, things that are good for you. You'll be an example for your friends, and you can encourage them too. If you're a young person and learned something from this video today, I want you to share it with your friends because this information is saving lives right now. You could be the friend that saves someone's life by keeping them from making a big mistake. Please share it. If you're a parent or guardian and you want to learn more about how you can educate and protect your children from fentanyl poisoning, then I need you to head over to naturalhigh.org/fentanyl right now and sign up with your email to receive the free fentanyl toolkit. Natural High will keep you updated with information and resources you can share with your children. My name is Dominic Tierno. My natural highs are faith and filmmaking. Thank you for watching.
So just a couple of points from that video. There is no such thing as recreational drugs anymore because fentanyl is in everything, right? And a lot of times adults, not every child has somebody in their life that's going to communicate facts with them, right? It's not okay to say, hey, just know your drug dealer. Just make sure they're safe, right? Because their drug dealers aren't going to know, right? And so as adults, we need to be having those conversations. And I'm talking to myself as well with our youth and our young adults about this is fatal and you don't know what you're ingesting. And so just this infographic here, you can see over to the left, 136 people die every day from an opioid overdose, and that includes prescription or illicit drugs. The chart right below it kind of breaks down the different types of overdose deaths. You will see the top one is the synthetic opioids, right? It's the leader. Then over to the right, this even breaks it down by gender. You can see the national drug-involved overdose deaths among all ages. But if you notice there that when it's broken down by male or female, male is higher, right? A lot of times people only mention girls, right? Girls with this, but males are too. And fatal overdoses among adolescents nearly doubled from 492 in 2019 to 954 in 2020, which is an increase of 94%. Additional rise of 20% in 2021 compared to the previous year. Those are huge numbers. So I found this article as well, and it says suicide rates among youth ages 10 to 24 has increased by 56% from 2007 to 2017. So that's not even including our pandemic years, right? Tennessee has increased by 33.8%, and Virginia has increased by 58.6%. And this is just in our children and our youth. So what can we do as a trauma-informed community? So I'll be honest with you, Bristol's Promise, ACEs and trauma, that's in our wheelhouse. Building resilience, that's in our wheelhouse. substance abuse disorder and drug use, not in our wheelhouse. That's why we call in subject matter experts, right? So we can look for more education surrounding the drug education that's happening in our schools. We've got to start younger. What does that look like? Who's involved? Does school boards, teachers, staff, community organizations, all those people need to be involved, and we need to really have clear conversations with our kids about drugs. It's not the DARE program anymore. It's not don't do drugs, right? It's let's give you information for you to make informed decisions. And the message, again, don't do drugs. What to look for, what's out there, prevention of overdose. How are we preparing our children and youth to save a friend that they've seen signs of overdose with, right? Information on the dangers of self-medication and substance use disorder. Giving our youth and our young adults facts so they can make those informed decisions. So additional resources for you guys if you want more information. So the Natural High website, I really think Dead on Arrival is a great video. I showed that to both of my children. The Sullivan County Anti-Drug Coalition and Alice and Melanie are on here and are going to give us some information, update on what they're doing. And then the Appalachian Sustainable Abuse Coalition, Linda's on here, and I've asked those two groups specifically to kind of give us an update on what they're doing in our schools, in our communities, and to educate us on how we as a community and business can kind of move forward with this trauma-informed lens and help save our children and youth. So I appreciate your time listening to me, but who wants to go first? We've got SCAD or we've got ASAC. I know you both have to leave early, so I tried to make mine super quick. So Alice is to my left. So I'll let SCAD go first and we can kind of hear what they're doing in our community and get some feedback from them.
Okay. So we have, I mean, there's so much stuff that you just presented. It's hard to even focus on which problem to focus on, and that is why we need a coordinated effort by everybody to be involved. In terms of the trauma-informed, Melanie and I have been trainers for several years. We've done less of that work, and we also are trainers for the Building Strong Brains. Again, we've done less of that work as more other organizations have picked it up, because as these problems keep building, trying to focus in a little bit more on what we can do best and making sure that the other things are being handled. That said, we are still working very much with Cora Cox students. We've been doing that, I think, for about 4 years now, but to go into schools, we need the invite, and that is not coming often enough with the latest fentanyl problems. Melody has had an invite from Tennessee High, and we are working closely with those folks. But we really do try to focus on how do we support parents to know what they need to know, and how do we get access to healthy choices for youth. These are what some of the grants that we have are built around, and the bottom line has always been, how do we prevent the initiation of substance misuse? And our grants now cover underage drinking, nicotine, marijuana, prescription drugs, and stimulants, even though we definitely had fentanyl come strongly to our awareness last September 1st, the day after last year's International Overdose Awareness Campaign, when a man walked into our office practically in tears with a contribution, having seen the ads, because it was one of his best friend's birthday on August 31st, and that man's son had died from a fentanyl overdose earlier. So he was asking us to give it more attention. And honestly, we have been trying to figure out how to do this, because ever since we've started, prevention is a really hard sell until you actually have the problem in your home, and it's now jumped to intervention. So we are doing what we can. We still believe that getting evidence-based curriculum in all schools is the best way to universally protect all students. Sullivan County school systems have been doing LEAD, which is the evidence-based Too Good for Drugs program for, I believe it's either its second or third year. Second, okay, and this year they increased it to 8th graders, not just 5th graders. We have supported that. We have supported that to happen in Bristol schools. That is set to begin. They've been trained. We've helped provide materials for September. And then Melanie has several other programs that she's been doing with after-school programs for, my timelines are shot, but I'm going to say 4 or 5 years, including presentations she can do for parents, how to talk to your kids about anything. And we've been sending kids to leadership style things like TTI, which is Tennessee Teens Initiative. No, something like that. And then Tennessee Strong. We do have a lot of programs for older folks. Most of our intervention programs are really not handled to deal with under 18, but we are looking at ways to make that happen. We're also still doing the naloxone education distribution, and we're trying to figure out how we might be able to include younger people with that. We did just find out it is not illegal to give naloxone to under 18 in Tennessee, but we still need to create some policies to come around a lot of other programs. So I think I had 5 minutes and I've probably already gone over.
So, Melanie, do you have anything to add? Have you been able to have some conversations in the school systems, and are you getting any feedback? Did you have any kids come up, or?
We did. So Tennessee High's principal invited me to come talk to the students about fentanyl awareness specifically. So I did 2 days. So we got the whole school, and I offered for the kids to be able to get Narcan from us. So we had a couple that did do that. And then also sign up for a focus group. So last week I met I had a lot of interest, but between scheduling, we had about 4 students come talk to us in a focus group type of situation, and just wanted to get their opinions on what's happening in the schools, what's the most important to them to address, whether that, a lot of mental health issues came up, a lot of substance use, especially around marijuana. And so it was very informative. And from that group, we hope to get started the Youth Coalition. They want to work in the school to, do some prevention work and to have some more mental health resources in the school. And so working with those students, we hope to, definitely going forward in the fall, have a peer-to-peer kind of coalition started at Tennessee High, so that they're really addressing their needs that they identify. The other things that are happening besides that, and I'm really grateful for Tennessee High for reaching out. Ms. Kirk is amazing for that. And we are developing a brochure right now to kind of just get that message out that parents need to talk to their kids about all this stuff. And it's going to be kind of a broad general brochure along with the United Way of Kingsport, and then the health department and some other partners. So we want to get those out to all Sullivan County students before the end of the year, so they can take those home, get those to their parents. We're still literally creating it right now. I'm trying to nail down verbiage, that messaging across the board. But May 10th is Fentanyl Awareness Day, so we hope to do some social media and some other billboards and maybe ads around that for the summertime. Gosh, I don't know. But the lead thing is going to get started in Bristol next fall. They tried to get it going this spring, but it just did not work out. But we will continue to work with them to expand that, and they'll have hopefully a lead. We're going to have a lead camp in June with Sullivan County rising sixth graders, and that'll hopefully happen too for Bristol next summer too. So at least we've got some stuff going, so it's good.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for SCAD while we're here?
I did just want to point out that fentanylawarenessday.org does have a fair amount of social media posts already created that could be put out easily on May 10th. And then, as Melanie said, we will be creating some more social media to use for and plan to run it heavily during August for International Overdose Awareness Day.
Okay. All right, Linda, if you're available, I guess it's your turn. From your car, I hope you have at least a nice view.
I'm right outside the school and I'm packed to the hilt. I have 2 tables to set up here shortly. I don't know if you guys heard, but Kevin Hines is stuck in Charlotte. He actually didn't make it to the school, unfortunately. I will be brief. Some of the things that we're doing through ASAC, of course, we spend part of our funding to take community partners to national conferences. And several of us just got back from the National Prescription and Illicit Drug Conference in Atlanta. That's one thing that we do to pour back into the communities to educate the faith community, to educate teachers and whomever we can convince to go with us. And so we do hope to take 20 teenagers to CADCA, to the Community Anti-Drug Coalition's conference in July. That is one thing that we would love to get teenagers actually more involved in coalition work. So they've got the knowledge and the goods that we struggle to find, because they know what their peers are reacting to. And so we hope to get them more involved. We do mental health first aid and also Safe Talk, which is a new program that some of our CSB people have just been trained and started doing in our region. Kids 15 and older can do that as well. And it is just training that will help them become aware of cues that their peers are giving them about mental health struggles, depression, suicidal ideations. So Safe Talk, it's 2.5 to 3 hours. It's an excellent program that we've started doing with our CSBs. Of course, one thing that we do, and it's going to happen here at Virginia High today, is the youth surveys. So we can know what they know and what they don't know, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. So the youth surveys are something that we rely heavily on to know how to focus our initiatives. Let's see, we have 2 of the 6 comprehensive harm reduction programs in our region. There's 6 in the Commonwealth and we have 2 here, and they are utilizing fentanyl testing strips. So wanted to mention them. Let's see, of course, we have been serving on the fentanyl task force since the beginning. I have trained, done Narcan training with all the central staff at Bristol, Virginia schools, all the principals. I've trained one of their elementary schools, all of the staff there. So anybody, anywhere, anytime who will allow us to do Narcan training, we're willing to do that, and we dispense the Narcan. We do community events like Trail Days. We have supplied Narcan to all the merchants in Damascus. We have a booth set up. We have a booth set up at Rhythm and Roots. We'll do that again this year. We had a young man from Maryland call in October last year and tell us that he had saved a life with the Narcan that we had given him while he was here. So any kind of community event where we can interact with people, especially young people. Of course, we're here for Fentanyl Awareness Day. I also direct Hands and Feet Ministries, and so we work with the same people very often. So ASAC and Hands and Feet, we work together on so many things. So we're going to have a table here today too to help young people understand how easily they can get in trouble, not just physically and emotionally, but legally get in trouble with some things that they may not be aware of. So in the schools, we have 15 coalitions under the ASAC umbrella, and many of those coalitions sponsor clubs in the schools. That's a way that we build relationships with the kids, and the schools are very welcoming to let us come in as responsible adults who have been background checked already and be there for the kids. And that is a great way to form relationships with those kids. We are running 50 to 60 people in our meetings, and we have been focusing on mental health issues. If you are on Facebook and you were not, haven't seen it yet, Holly Kaiser won the next supermodel contest. It was a reality show on TV. She's from Dickinson County, and she struggled with an eating disorder and also mental health issues. She spoke at our ASAC meeting in April and did a great job. So we're trying to educate people through our social media platforms. We have more than 7,600 followers on social media. So we do a lot through our social media to reach those who are struggling. Some of our counties are allowing the CSBs to come in and do trauma-informed school training. Russell County and Tazewell County, every employee of the school system has been trained in trauma-informed, trauma-sensitive training. So that's another way that we're reaching out to the school system to provide that training for their staff. We have coming up on June the 9th, we have our first regional resource meeting at the Higher Education Center in Abingdon from 10 to 4. There will be space for 150 vendors, and 5-minute infomercials will run throughout the day. So we would love to have you all come if you're interested in resources on the Virginia side. That will be opened up to non-ASAC members to set up vendor tables if it doesn't fill up with members. The first 300 people will have a free Chick-fil-A lunch as well that day.
What time was that on June 9th again, Linda?
June 9th, it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay. Anything else?
All
Any
right.
questions for Linda or?
I do have questions for both ASAC and SCAD. If there was one thing that we people in this group could do to support the coalition work that you all have going on, what would be the first step? Like, how would we get involved? Is there a coalition meeting coming up? How would we get involved with the work y'all are doing?
I'll take that since Alice is so nice and delaying. The Appalachian Substance Abuse Coalition, we meet every other month. And so our June 9th date, that's our normal meeting date. And so instead, we're going to have the resource fair. So we'll meet again in August. It's always the second Thursday of every other month from 10 until noon. And we move our meetings around to give everybody equal access to it across our region. We cover 13 counties and 3 cities. And so we have a large catchment area. So I'm not sure. We're probably going to Wytheville in August, Wythe County, and then probably in Buchanan County in October. For those of you who are not aware, Mountain Mission School is able to take in the children of anybody that you're working with who is struggling. If they've lost stable housing, if they want to go into a detox facility and don't have anybody take care of their kids, if they got a 6-month sentence in jail but still have custody of their children, Mountain Mission School will take care of their kids. The parents do not lose custody, and it doesn't cost the parents anything, and they are an accredited school. So if it's 6 days, 6 months, 6 years, Mountain Mission is there for folks who are struggling that need a safe and healthy place for their kids.
I did not know that.
I didn't know it until recently. And they will take kids they actually have kids from 10 countries there right now, in addition to many kids from Air Country. Yeah. There is a video on ASAC's Facebook page as well. Chris Mitchell is president. He presented at the Mountain Movers Buchanan County meeting last month. So there is a video you can watch, Chris talking about what they do and how to get in touch with them.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks,
You're
Linda.
welcome.
And so for Sullivan County Anti-Drug, what would we do to get involved with you all next coalition meeting, or what do you all recommend is the first step to get involved with the work you're doing?
Sounds like if you guys want to tag your second Thursdays, it sounds like our meetings are the opposite of Linda's. Our next meeting will be May 12th. And ours are also every other month at the health department. So anyone's welcome to come. They're from 10 to noon. I would say we are working on the website, but go to the website, scadc.org. We're trying to get it more user-friendly to show ways to help, but you can find out all of the programs that we do and who to contact for the program that you're interested in. However, I would say our biggest need right now is what Linda talked about, her ability to get the youth surveys. There is only one school system in Sullivan County who has consistently been willing to do that. So whenever you are speaking with anyone involved with the school, there is no one on this call right now who wouldn't benefit from knowing what the kids think the problems are, whether they're in Virginia where they're getting the information or in Tennessee where we are not. So, our process is to do an assessment, build capacity for the problems that we solve, create plans, implement plans, and evaluate plans. But without that data, we are kind of dead in the water. We do as many key informant interviews as we can. We do our best to get out there and hear from people. But the one thing that could make all the difference for the coalition right now is the ability to do those assessments. They're every 2 years. They're free to the school. They're electronically delivered. They take about 20 minutes. It's not a hard sell.
Thank you both.
Okay, any final questions for either of these two ladies? I know, or three ladies. I know they've got to hop off just a little bit early. Just want to make sure.
And I just put my contact information in your chat, and also stopsubstanceabuse.com is their website. I put that there as well. And I saw a question pop up. The resource fair is at the Higher Ed Center in Abingdon off exit 14. So. And as soon as we get a flyer, I'll send that to y'all.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you all. I hate to leave you, but I got to run.
Good luck today.
So,
Thanks, Linda. See you in a little bit.
Bye, guys. Bye. Bye.
So we're running early, so I just want to open it up for any additional updates that anybody has on what they're doing in the community, any ideas, any thoughts. And I'm not going by topic, so if you got an update, just jump in. Not everybody at once. Oh, Misty Underwood, she came up off camera.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't have an answer for you, but I wanted to turn my camera on.
Nice. Okay.
Hi, so this is Angie Sproles, and I work with Goodwill Industries of Geneva, and I have been on and off of these calls intermittently, and this was one of the best presentations that I've seen. So thank you for sharing this. And Melissa, I understand that you're going to email this out, and I plan to share this with some of the staff at our organization. But we are working, we recently developed a partnership with Caring Workplaces. That's the First Tennessee Development District. Okay, so you guys are all shaking your heads, so you're aware. We had a training with them earlier this week, and we have joined that partnership and have become a caring workplace. So we're looking forward to that. We will probably do some more. We will probably seek some of your guidance as we navigate these new waters for us. So thank you all for what you're doing.
Well, and Angie, just FYI, you've got several trainers here in Building Strong Brains and ACEs and trauma. So if you ever need any of those types of trainings, you're looking at faces here that can help you. So please reach out if you need something like that.
Well, one of the things that we do, we're going to share this with our success coaches, and we have 2 success coaches that work with our employees. So we have external facing programs where we work with people who have disabilities, we work with veterans, we work with people age 55 and older, and also the reentry population who all experience barriers to employment. So we are completely focused on reducing those barriers to employment. So our success coaches work with our currently employed individuals who are just employed through the organization, and some of them may have challenges as well. So this information is really critical. I plan to share it with them so that they understand some things at a different level as well. So thank you all.
That's excellent. Nice. Does anybody else have an update or just information to share?
I don't know if this would be helpful to Angie. Angie, you are on the Virginia side, correct?
We serve 8 counties in Northeast Tennessee and 9 counties in Virginia. So
our intervention programs, which is mostly either people who have survived an overdose or their family members or folks that are criminal justice involved, have partner meetings regularly, and they look at the surround care kinds of things needed, including transportation, employment, and housing are the 3 that they've mostly focused on. So I don't know if you would like to get invited to those meetings, or if that would be helpful to at least check out and see what they're doing.
Oh, yes. So if you could send me some information about those, that would be great. We're already involved with the Tri-Cities Reentry Council at the Day Reporting Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ashton is one of the members too. So
okay.
And there's going to be another rally coming up in June.
Okay.
I know that this is the Northeast Tennessee side, folks, but if anybody lives in Virginia or knows anybody in Virginia, Bristol, Virginia had their public comment portion for their budget, and they're trying to do away with the JASP program, which is the diversion court or the diversion program. So it's the drug court, it's the home monitoring, it's that type of thing. And there were about 10 people who showed up to the public comment section, but there will be 2 more hearings in Bristol, Virginia. So if you do know anybody in Bristol, Virginia, even if they're not in Bristol, Virginia, if they do work in Bristol, Virginia, this would impact that very, very much because, you know, without the drug court, they're just going to send people to jail, and we know that that doesn't work. So, having your voice heard and having those numbers is great. And I don't have those dates off the top of my head. They're both in May. I think one is May 3rd, and then one is maybe the 24th, but I can send those out for sure.
Well, we've seen that drug court is very effective, and I live in Washington County, Virginia, and so I can go and.
Come on, Angie, I'll sit with you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we stayed and talked with the city council members afterwards and explained to them, and they were under the impression that because the Bristol, Virginia jail is closing and they're moving up to the regional jail, kind of up towards Abingdon, and they were under the impression that these programs would be picked up. And so we had to explain, no, this is a court program, not a jail program. The whole point is to avoid the jail part. So it really is just education and making sure that we have all the experts there to answer questions, because they do have a lot of great questions. So yeah, Angie, I will definitely let you know when those are.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Well, I just gave you all 30 minutes of your day back. So go outside. We're all houseplants, right? We need sunshine and water. Go outside, get some air, take a nice stroll in the sunshine, and then come back in and get back to work, because we got a lot to fix. We got a lot to do. Thank you all for being here today, and I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate what everybody's doing in the community, and I look forward to seeing and talking with you all again soon.